So back towards the end of 2023, I believe, I made a video about why I don't gig the Quad Cortex and why I won't gig the Quad Cortex. And I've actually been getting a lot of comments on that video now in 2025 because things have changed. And now the Quad Cortex has been with me on tour for this entire year and will probably stick with me for the remainder of the year. So my main complaints, I even went back and watched the video and wanted to see, what was I on about? What was I whining about? And a lot of things I am glad to say are no longer issues. And there's a couple of reasons why, a couple of things that I had to customize to get it exactly the way I want it. And some things still bother me. So if it's your first time here, my name's Steve Sterlacci. I do all things digital guitar gear on this channel. So if that is your thing, consider hitting the subscribe button because 80% of my views come from people that are not subscribed. Now, after the tour, I just got home. We did a bunch in Europe. We did some East Asia. We just came back from another one-off in Spain, and I have no complaints using the Quad Cortex at all. I loved how it sounded. I loved using it, and the rig that I have set up, I have a whole video on this pedal board, has been really awesome. If it is your first time here, I run both my electric guitar rig and our singer's electric guitar rig through my one pedal board. So my decision to give Quad Cortex its fair shake was exactly that. We travel at an independent level. So we don't have like record label funding or big tour buses and big trailers when we're overseas, especially. So when we're overseas, we're huffing it ourselves. I'm taking whatever I have in a backpack and have a dual guitar rig, dual guitar gig bag. Shout out to Reunion Blues. And I need something that is small, compact, can handle my wireless units and run two guitar rigs. There's not many options that can do all of that and fit in a backpack in a travel-friendly setup. So here is that pedal board that I was just talking about. And it might look really goofy and stupid to you, but this has been awesome. This is a Sennheiser dual guitar wireless, the new one that they just came out with, the EWDX. This is a game changer. This is the string velocity Monacle. This is something that, we'll get into in a second about why that has been an awesome game changer for me. So addressing the complaints from my first video about why I didn't want to gig this, I was concerned about the vents and how this would hold up to extensive touring and, getting beat up, thrown around and all that. But because I'm dual locked to this custom pedal board from Creation Music Co., it's not only lifted from the dual lock, it's also lifted on the pedal board, so there is a little gap under here. So if, God forbid, there was ever water or something that got on the floor, I think the vents are pretty safe, and I haven't had any problems with overheating or any ventilation issues. So that I consider a no longer complain about topic. The other thing that I talk about in that video is I don't like the size of it if you're integrating it with other pedals. So if you're trying to use Quad Cortex on a pedal board, it is weird. It's like a pedal and a half in height. But if you're going to take this route where I got a custom pedal board made exactly for it with a second deck on it so that I can have like a little overlap here, my power supplies underneath, wireless on top, and the string velocity over there, this does it all now, and it's compact, it's easy. I don't need any other additional pedals with this. So that's another complaint of mine that is now addressed. Another thing that I talked about was the proximity of the foot switches, having to step on these. I wear size 11.5 boot, so it actually wasn't as bad as I thought. This was something that kind of just took a little getting used to. I will say that getting to the higher foot switches, I kind of have to do the toe dive to get up and over to make sure that I'm not stepping on something accidentally. There's not a lot of clearance still, but I didn't once in the entire year press the wrong pedal or hit the wrong foot switch. So that might be something that was just a little bit mental, that was like, hey, I don't know if this is going to work because they're so close together. But after using it extensively and again, doing that kind of little toe dive into the pedal, into the switch, that was no problem. I also talked about the screen not aligning with the foot switches. They now have much brighter options for the displays here. So you can have the pedals match it. So when you're pressing a foot switch now, there's much brighter LEDs, and you can control that LED brightness in any of the settings where you can really brighten it up, and then the colors coordinate to one another. So that's no longer an issue either. It's really easy actually to coordinate which foot switch goes to which block. Now let's talk about the updates, because Neural has done a really good job of updating this for the most part. Recently, and I don't know what's going on here. A lot of the updates have really just been more plug-in integration into the Quad Cortex. So especially this most recent one, a lot of users were upset that there was nothing added feature-wise or model-wise for free to the Quad Cortex. It was almost just a free, it was almost just a pay-to-play update for new plugins. So if you want a new plugin, you got to spend the $100 to get the benefit of that plugin in your Quad Cortex. Now that being said, some of the plugin effects are becoming some of my favorite, especially the compressors. Which one do I have on here? I think I have the Soldano. The Soldano compressor is my favorite one in the Quad Cortex. It's really simple and easy to use. You don't need to know how to use a compressor to use it, which I really like. And I have it as always on, and I don't ever even notice it. But to users that don't want to purchase anything, that's a little bit frustrating that the unit that you invested in, you spent a lot of money on, you spent, over $1,500 on probably, is being updated only for those that spend the extra $100 plugins. And I get that that's their business model. They make a lot of money on plugins. There's no physical hardware to manufacture, but this costs 16 plugins. So I feel like Quad Cortex users should have some priority over the plugin users, especially the one and done plugin types who has 16 Neural DSP plugins. That's who you're comparing yourself to when you buy a Quad Cortex. So it feels like the plugin users kind of get a little bit of favoritism over the Quad Cortex users, just from, I guess, my opinion and from what others are seeing in the Facebook groups and stuff like that about Quad Cortex. Another thing we talked about in this video is the power supply being an absolute joke. I would never feel comfortable taking just the Quad Cortex without the power supply. So I've got the Chox DC7 under here, and that's powering the wireless, the Monacle, and Quad Cortex. And I also have the battery compartment, the charger for the batteries for the wireless. The Sennheiser wireless packs have rechargeable batteries. So I have the little charger under there. I've got my cable runs, and I've got my power in there. So I never have to worry about plugging and unplugging this, as it's an IEC cable, which Quad Cortex should have had from the beginning, if you ask me. So I have no problems with power and no problems with the power supply because I'm not using it. And now onto the complaints that I still have, which have not gone away. So to Neural DSP's credit, they did give us this great desktop editor, which is awesome. No notes on the desktop editor. I really think that they did a great job with this. And, I have a Core OS update available. I must still be, okay, these are just fixes. I just took this out of my touring rig. I'll never update while on the road. So that's not happening right away. Things that still bother me here though, I still can't go from row 1 to row 2. Like, I'm going to just keep complaining about this over and over and over again. So in this context, I get it. They want to tell us, oh, well, we make you go to row 3 to save yourself DSP. I'm using row 2 anyway. Me personally, I'm using row 2 for the other guitar. Why can't I have this row just be this row, and then I can have my second guitar be wherever else I want it? It's a little bit annoying that I still can't just go from row 1 to row 2. So my rig in this context goes from in 1 to row 3. And then Jessica, our singer's rig, goes through lane 2, into and out 2. It's a little goofy having to skip the row and do that when I'm using it anyway. So I've kind of figured out a little bit of a workaround around this, where if I don't, I'm not going to save this. So say this is just one rig. We're going to go on a little tangent here. Sorry, y'all. And I'm going to set this to be, let's make this input 2 and output 2. And I'm going to change this to input 1. See, look, now I can have my consecutive lanes. I can have consecutive rows. So I can build my rig in this center column where I'm using rows 2 and then into row 3. And then I can put, our singer's rig up here if I wanted to do that. So I guess it's a similar workaround thing. It's still just annoying that we can't go from row 1 to row 2. You have to drop something down here, and then you have to take your split path, move it over here, and change this to your output. This just feels stupid to have to do this still, that we have to split the path off to go to the next row. If we can split the path to go to the next row, we should just be able to go from one row to the next. People argue with me over this too. People actually think that this is not something that we need to be doing, which is beyond me and very bizarre. We should have the freedom to choose how to allot our DSP, if you ask me. At least if you want to be competitive with the other units, that's something that I feel is really important that we can do. Next point to address, and this is something that is a simple fix that Neural DSP just doesn't want to do. That's what this string velocity monocle is. I'm big on making adjustments on the fly. If you've seen any of my videos on Quad Cortex, you've heard me complain about this before, where if I want to change anything on my pedal board, I have to hit the check mark, find the pedal, tap it, adjust it, hit the check mark, and swipe back up to gig view. I hate doing that more than anything in the world. I would love for that to be assignable to one of these foot switches instead of making them preset banks, because if I'm going to change presets, I'm going to go to my preset view and I'm going to change it from here, and I'm going to step on it. I don't really need to use bank up and down. I can just do it from there. But what else that you see that actually, this changes the view. So I can go from scenes to presets to stomp boxes just by tapping that. My side light went out, whatever. This also toggles gig view on and off with a little bit longer press. So that puts me into the grid. I can tap my amp. I can make my amp adjustments. I can also tap immediately back to gig view. So this speeds up adjusting things like a crazy amount. You don't have much time to make adjustments when you're trying to do them on the fly. And realistically, anybody that's ever gigged or recorded in a professional studio, you know that sometimes you need to really be fast with your adjustments, or you might completely tank a song or a take. And we just don't want to be doing that. You want to be as efficient as possible. That maximizes the efficiency. Neural, let us use path row to row. Let us go from row 1 to row 2, and let us assign these. Can we just assign these to be toggle gig view on and off so that I don't need to buy an external piece? By the way, I'll link to this below. This thing is just great. I love using it. I use it all the time to make fast adjustments. So I think that does it for my rantings on why I do gig the Quad Cortex now, and all of the points that I used to complain about that I no longer complain about. Hey, it's getting there. It's not there yet. I do think that Quad Cortex has the potential to be the be-all, end-all best modeler out there, but I still think they've got to step their game up quite a bit. But they are on the right track in a lot of good ways. And I just hope that they continue giving us some really big, massive updates, some user customized things, and maybe some batch exporting, file transfers, stuff like that, instead of having to individually send all the presets, stuff like that, just kind of petty workflow things that I would just like to be streamlined. I think that's the word I want to use. But yeah, that's it. If you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.